Welcome back, everybody. It's me, Stateside, here with a new video. We're going to be taking a look at every Premier League club and who they should be signing this transfer window to get the best bang for their buck, but also to make the biggest improvements on their squad during this summer transfer window. Obviously, we've had a few weeks into the transfer window. We've seen quite a few transfers. Maybe one or two of these that I mentioned, maybe by the time you see this video, have already been announced, maybe have happened. We're going to talk about a few that maybe aren't very on the radar, some that are high profile signings as well. But without further ado, let's go ahead. Let's get right into this video. The first player on our radar is going to be for Arsenal, Riccardo Calafiori. I believe is how you pronounce his name, the Italian left back slash center back. He's been playing, obviously, his club ball at Bologna. 30 million transfer for market value. I think they're wanting in the upwards of around 50 to 60 million for his services. But, you know, again, I'm not quite sure if Arsenal are going to pay that amount. That just feels like a lot of money for a left back. 2 goals and 5 assists in 30 appearances for him last season. He played 2,349 minutes and started, I believe, every match for Italy during the Euros. Taking a look at a few of his stats, I think that are kind of important to note. He's ranking in the top 96 percentile of top 5 leagues in interceptions, which of course is very important for a left back. Sorry about that. Top 72% for blocks, top 65% in aerial duels won. Take a look at his ability to progress the ball, though, is where it's very impressive. He ranks in the top 92nd percentile with 0.5 take-ons, successful take-ons, during this last year, as well as completing about 90% of his passes. And he also averages about 1 progressive carry per 90 minutes, which puts him at 81st percentile of left backs in the top 5 leagues. Up next, we have Aston Villa. And Aston Villa, I have signing Brais Mendes, Real Sociedad midfielder, a little more attacking-minded than the player that they have signed already. Onana from Everton, of course, has been already signed. And, you know, taking a look at Mendes from last season, 5 goals, 6 assists in La Liga, 3 goals and an assist in Champions League or Champions League play. I don't know why I said ball like that. But I think, again, good signing, 27 years old, about 27 and a half, I guess, nearing 28 in January. 40 million is his transfer market value. I think he's a good signing. Again, plays kind of as an 8, kind of, you can play maybe like a Tielemans, Mendes, and Onana. You've also still got Kamara there. You've got pretty solid midfield in this Aston Villa setup already. They already have strength on the wings. I think maybe you could see some work in the fullback positions. Center backs they look good in. But yeah, I think Aston Villa, this one just kind of makes sense. Up next, we have a Brestois left back coming to Bournemouth, Bradley Loco. I'm not quite sure how you pronounce that. The French left back, just 22 years of age. I think this just kind of makes sense. Bournemouth want to build a young squad. 12 million is his transfer market value. 3 assists last season. Played 33 matches in Ligue 1. Just kind of makes sense all around for both sides. I think they'll probably end up paying closer to 20 to 25 million for him. But I think for Bournemouth trying to solidify themselves as a consistent Premier League team, this is an excellent investment and an excellent player that they're getting. Up next, Brentford, we have signing Strahinja Petrovic, currently playing his club play at Red Bull Salzburg. The Serbian international played 26 matches for them, 6 in the Champions League as well. So 32 games total, a little over 2,700 minutes on the season. 3 goals, 3 assists. I think that this one kind of makes sense. Left-footed center back, which is huge in this current day and game. Good dribbler of the ball as well. Taking a look, he's 99 percentile on his successful take-ons. And then, of course, 90th percentile in the tackles, which is obviously huge as well in that center back position. Again, left-footed, could be a good opportunity for Brentford to make a good investment moving forward. Up next for Brighton, we have Diego Gomez. I think that the Inter Miami man just kind of makes sense in that midfield. Very solid young player, South American, Paraguay. Just makes sense. It just makes sense for Brighton to sign him. 2 goals and I said 2 goals. Recorded a goal and assist tonight, so I think that puts him up to 3 goals, 2 assists, 12 matches played in the MLS. Just feels like a good signing. 21 years of age, plenty of time to develop at Brighton and be a good investment and great player for them moving forward. Once again, just kind of these lower teams. I'm not just looking at players that will be good players for them now in the current, but also players that there are investments for them that'll be able to get sold to a top club in the future. I think Diego Gomez is one of those players in the meantime. Next up, we have Chelsea, a player who it looks like they're getting very, very close to signing. Another MLS player, Caleb Wiley. I think Caleb Wiley kind of makes sense for Chelsea. Long-term left back option. 5 million is what his value is listed as. I think Atlanta's going to want closer in the upwards of 10 to 12 million for him. Contract expiring not till 2025. Goal and assist this season. Very good attacking left back. Has played as a left back. Has played as a wing back. If Chelsea wants to do a 3-back or 4-back system moving forward. I think he plays better as a wingback. I think when you have those 3 center backs, one to kind of cover him, I think he's played his best. But of course, that's up to what Chelsea's manager at the time will say. Right now, it's a revolving door, so we'll just have to see what is done there. But I think loan him out. I think he's expected to get loaned immediately to Strasbourg, about to play in the Olympics. So we'll see what happens as he finishes up his Olympic time in the Olympics with the U.S. national team or U.S. youth national teams. Next signing on the list belongs to Crystal Palace, and it is going to be Marcus Edwards from Sporting. I think that Marcus Edwards deserves a move back to the Premier League. He was obviously grew up in Tottenham's academy, currently playing at Sporting where he could get minutes. I think he's been very consistently good on the wing, and I think with Michael Olise going to Bayern, I think you have a creative option right there. A player that can be very, very exciting for Crystal Palace fans. It just feels like this one makes sense. So I'm going to go with Marcus Edwards. Transfer market value of 20 million. I think you can get him for around that much, 25. I think he's the Olise replacement you want. And I think he's a good investment. You can sell him here in a few years for upwards of 50 to 60 million if he performs in the Premier League. A player that's been linked with Everton quite a bit. I think he was linked with them all of last summer. Wilfred Gnonto. Gnonto, I believe is how you say it. Don't quote me on that. The Italian winger slash forward has been very exciting for Leeds. Obviously, Leeds didn't get promoted this season, but he's been an exciting option for them. Has been consistently good. Has played on the right wing as well as the left wing. Can play striker, I think, even if you needed him to. I don't think he would, but maybe playing striker for Everton. But again, 16 million transfer market value. Leeds missing promotion. Is he an option you go for? I think so. And we'll just have to see what happens moving forward. Fulham, I think, is going to secure the signing of Emil Smith-Rowe. I know he's been linked with a few mid-table Premier League teams. I think Emil Smith-Rowe settles in at Fulham. I think it just kind of is a signing that will work for him. Obviously, not many minutes at all, not many opportunities at all for Arsenal this season. I think that hits the ground running at Fulham. I think he gets a move back to a top side in the future. We'll just have to see what he does. But I do think Fulham, in the meantime, is a very good place for him to be, solidify himself as a proven player. I thought he was going to do that with Arsenal. Didn't work out, but we'll just have to see what happens going forward. Emil Smith-Rowe, 22 million transfer market value. Get it done, Fulham. Obviously, again, 22 million is what transfer market values at him at. Arsenal obviously want closer to, I think, 30 to 35 million. I can't quite remember the number Arsenal is asking Fulham for. But obviously the values I'm talking about are just transfer market values. And I know those aren't 100% the value that you will be paying for these players. Rounding out our first 10 clubs, we've got Ipswich signing Lucas Asadi. I'm going to be honest with you, don't know much about him. But they signed the person I was going to talk about, which is the goalkeeper from Burnley. I think it's Buric or Muric. I can't quite remember if it's a B or M it starts with. But the Kosovo goalkeeper that they signed from Burnley, I was going to talk about him. And then they went and signed him before I could record this video. The day I recorded, they've gone and signed him. But anyways, moving along. Asadi, left winger, Chilean, 3.5 million transfer market value. Just kind of an option on the wing. Could be dynamic, could work out. Could be an investment for the championship next season. We'll just have to see. But that's just really the only player they had as an option at this point. When I was looking for our potential signings, that was the only player that was even mentioned because they've signed everybody that they've been linked with. Amari Hutchinson, I think, is great for them to bring back and so on and so forth. So we'll just have to see if this one happens, I guess. Not really anything groundbreaking there, but Ipswich, Lucas Asadi, we'll just see. And of course, guys, if you enjoy any of this video, please be sure to leave a like down below, hit that subscribe button, comment down below videos you guys want to see in the future so we can make it happen. And if you enjoy the rest of the video, I hope you do. And let me know again what you'd like to see in the future. Anyways, let's go ahead and move along to Leicester City. Up next, we have Leicester City. Leicester, you've done your business early. I don't have anyone else for you to sign. You've re-signed Wilfred Ndidi. You've managed to get a few guys through the door. Dewsbury Hall, obviously out the door. I think you'll be all right there. I think you're fine in the midfield for now. Obviously, you have Harry Winks. who I think can do a job. I think you have a few other players that'll do a good job there going forward in the midfield. So I don't think Dewsbury Hall is going to be as big of a miss as people are thinking. I think the fact he went to a top six club was very surprising, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens there. But no signings here. Maybe a goalie. Maybe a goalie's really the only place because you still have Danny Ward between the sticks. I know you have a youth goalkeeper that started the last few, or a young goalkeeper that started the last few games for you guys. Maybe he goes between the sticks this season as you try to survive. But I think maybe just kind of an experienced goalkeeper just in case that doesn't work out. And you don't want to go to Danny Ward because we saw what happened when you had to go to him before. With the news of Manchester United signing that I'm going to talk about, I switched my pick to a right winger to kind of back up Mo Salah for the season until he leaves. I think he's going to end up going to Saudi or something like that here in the future. Barış Yilmaz, 17 years old, or 17 million from Galatasaray. It's kind of really the only option I could think of, but we'll just have to see what happens there. Right winger, Galatasaray player, so I don't think you'll even be paying the 17 million. I don't think it'll cost that much, but Turkish international, so we'll see what happens. Up next, we have Manchester City signing Danny Olmo. I think this one kind of makes sense. You saw his performances in the Euros. You know how world class he really is now. Now I think it's time for Manchester City to swoop in, make this signing happen. They've got Gavardio from him last year after his performances in the World Cup, and now you've got him Olmo performing in the Euros. We're going to see him get snatched up as well. You know, if you take a look at him from this last season in the Bundesliga, top 85th percentile of attacking mids and wingers in non-penalty goals and assists. You've got him in the 86th percentile in interceptions. Very consistent progressor of the ball, ranking in the top 60 plus percentile in passes attempted, passes completed, progressive passes, progressive carry, successful take on, so on and so forth. I think he's just a very consistent player. Again, assists 79th percentile in the per 90 stat. I think this one just kind of makes sense for City. Let him kind of take the reins, maybe replace a player like a KDB in the future. Maybe he's that long-term replacement that Pep was looking for. Up next is an interesting signing from Manchester United because when I wrote this script before he signed with them, or was going to sign with them today, before it became kind of a more hard-stuck rumor, I had Lenny Euro going to Liverpool, but now I have him going to Manchester United because that one looks more locked in. I think it's going to be a fee of around 60 million. Here, taking a look at him as a player, played up to 2,673 minutes in League One. Also played 7 games in the Conference League. Taking a look at aerial duels won from center backs. Not the best rankings. It's the potential that he has, though, that Manchester United are signing. He's just 18 years old, starting games for Lille week in and week out. 50 million is his transfer market value. Of course, Manchester United are going to be paying more than that. We'll just have to see what happens there. But will be interesting. Again, I had De Ligt here before, just made sense. Makes more sense still to me, De Ligt does, but it seems like that's not the direction that Manchester United are going to be going, so we'll just have to see what happens there. Up next, of course, we have Newcastle United. Newcastle linked with a player, a goalkeeper, James Trafford, long-term replacement for a player like Nick Pope. I think modern keeper with the ownership change. We don't know what finances are going to look like for Newcastle. I think this one kind of makes sense by solidifying him as a backup these next 2 years, work on his shot stopping, and then you have a player that can play with his feet for Newcastle in the future. 18 million is his transfer market value. I think you can get him a little bit on the lower end, 12 to 15 million, with Burnley obviously getting relegated this past season. We'll just have to see what that looks like. You may see them paying up in the upwards of 20 million at the same time. Taking a look at few of his stats, compared to other goalkeepers, post-shot expected goal ranked in the 72nd percentile. So kind of see what he looks like there. Defensive actions outside of his penalty area, he's made 84th percentile. A pretty good distributor of the ball. Ranked in the 99th percentile of goalkeepers on touches. Of course, some of that's because of how defensive Burnley had to be, but also the fact that Burnley tried to play out of the back a lot of times. Next, we have Nottingham Forest, and a center back here for Nottingham Forest, Nikola Milenkovic. Milenkovic, big guy, winning his aerial duels. 6'5", currently playing at Fiorentina. Serbian international. Once again, another Serbian center back moving to the Premier League. 3.98 aerial one. That puts him in the 97th percentile of center backs. This is a no-nonsense center back. He's not going to be your ball distributor. He is going to go up there. He's going to win you tackles. He's going to win you duels in the air, and he is going to be a presence in the box. Up next, we have Southampton, and we have a Danish slash English dual international, 23 years of age, that I think is going to be making an impact in the Premier League, whether it's for Southampton or for whether it's another club higher up the table. It is going to be Matt O'Reilly, currently playing his club ball at Celtic, 18 goals, 13 assists in the Scottish Premiership last season. Also played 6 matches in the Champions League, 3 assists as well. 486 minutes, 3 assists. That's very impressive numbers for someone that is just 23 years of age. But I think this one just makes sense for Southampton as they look to build a young team moving forward. You saw that the year they got relegated, they built a young team, and then they continued to build young this year as they got promoted, and now they're promoted. They are got confidence in their young guys now. They're like, okay, we can win the championship. Now let's go prove ourselves in the Premier League. Now you're adding another player, not just a player that is young and hungry and wanting to prove himself, a player that has already proven himself with 3 assists in the Champions League. Up next, a player signing for Tottenham from Wolves, Pedro Neto. I feel like this one might make sense a little bit. Can play anywhere across the front 4, can play striker, cam, right wing, left wing, can kind of play anywhere in that front 4 area for Tottenham, especially with the way they play. You could see him being back up for Son on the left wing. You can see Son moving central and him playing on the left wing. You can see him play on the right wing. Kulusevski's out. You can see him, or Brennan Johnson's out. Or maybe you want to play Brennan Johnson central, and then you can play Neto on the right, and then you can play Son on the left, or Richarlison on the left, or central. Whatever you want to do. Maddison at the 10 could play as a backup to Maddison as well. Taking a look at some stats here. Progressive carries, 94th percentile per 90 in the top 5 leagues. That's 5.82 successful progressive carries per 90 minutes. 2.20 successful take-ons. That's in the 79th percentile. 0.53 assists, 99th percentile. Per 90 stats. Player that likes to create, player that likes to carry the ball, a player that just kind of fits the way that Ange Postecoglou wants to play. West Ham with Mikel Antonio looking like he's out the door. It's going to be a striker that they go after. Georgia's Mikautadze. I don't know how you say it. Georgian striker. You know who I'm talking about now. I believe scored for them in the Euros. But a player played 1,765 minutes in the big leagues, played in League One, 20 matches, 13 goals, 4 assists this past season for Metz. And then, of course, played 2 games in the Europa Leagues as well, just 18 minutes. I believe that was with the Eredivisie side that he was playing with there. Again, taking a look at some stats, actually has pretty decent progressive carry numbers, ranking in the 89th percentile with 2.7 per 90. Non-penalty goals, 0.51. And then, of course, his shot creating actions ranks in the 77th percentile with 3.01. I think it's a player that makes sense, a player that can kind of do a little bit of everything for West Ham as they move forward into a much younger, exciting squad in the post-David Moyes era. Our final signing going to Wolves, it's going to be kind of a Max Kilman replacement. So Max Kilman obviously went to West Ham. I'm going to go with David Carmo from Porto. He's played at Porto, just recently played, I believe, on loan at Olympiacos. He's an Angolan. I think he's playing in the Angola national team as well. Just kind of a player I feel like might make sense here this season. You know, played across multiple competitions. 4.42 aerial duels won, 1.61 blocks per 90. You know, kind of a all-around pretty solid center back. I think he could be an option moving forward for Wolves as they look to rebuild that center back position now that Max Kilman is gone. And of course, Connor Cody has been gone for 2 or 3 years now. So I think this one might make sense as a young option, just being 24 years old. Actually, as of tomorrow, will be 25 years old. So an option there. But anyways, if you guys enjoyed the video, again, please leave a like, subscribe down below, comment videos you want to see in the future, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.